Picture yourself in a town that smells of wood smoke and wool. The year is 1772. The colony, Massachusetts, perhaps. The morning air carries the dampness of the nearby river, and the quiet creak of wagon wheels echoes through narrow dirt roads. There is no electricity here, no buzz of lights, no hum of traffic. Instead, the day begins with soft knocks on shutters, the clinking of iron pots, and the scratch of quills over parchment. People rise not with alarms, but with sunlight leaking through cloth curtains and the far off crow of a rooster, as timeless as breath itself. In the small kitchens, bread dough is pressed slowly by hand, the flour floating into the beams of early light. Children carry buckets from the well, mud clinging to their bare feet. The floor creaks. The air holds the scent of cured meat and drying herbs. Life here is simple but never easy. Firewood must be chopped, candles poured, clothes mended again and again. There is no such thing as free time, only seasons. And within each season, a familiar pattern of labor, rest, and waiting. A letter from a nearby town might take days, and news from overseas, weeks. So, most people learn patience, not because they want to, but because they must. But even in the quiet, ideas stir. A preacher speaks of liberty, a merchant complains of taxes, a farmer wonders aloud what would happen if the king were no longer king. And so the rhythm of daily life continues, softly, deliberately, as if the land itself is preparing for something it cannot name. Now, step into a room that smells of wax and paper. The windows are closed, the walls lined with books thick and quiet as secrets. Here sits a man, perhaps Jefferson or Franklin. His coat is draped over a chair. His fingers are ink-stained. He writes slowly, not with urgency, but with weight, because every word he pens might someday be spoken aloud or carved in stone. You may imagine great debates, thunderous speeches, shouting over wooden tables. But the truth is quieter. It's in the pause before a signature, in the way a candle flickers as someone hesitates to call a people free. The founding fathers were not gods. They were thinkers, worriers, writers. Their dreams were big, but their lives were full of noise they couldn't control. Family debts, foreign enemies, and the unknown, always the unknown. Yet still, they wrote. And in the margins of those letters and drafts, in the soft rustle of pages turned at midnight, a revolution took shape. Not with swords, but with sentences. Let that thought settle. Let it drift. The Constitution was born in silence, under low ceilings in rooms lit by firelight and doubt. And the nation it created, Annan, was not born ready. It was born learning. Step away now, from politics and parchment and into the lives lived just beyond the spotlight. The seamstress in Pennsylvania who embroidered stars onto fabric, not knowing it would become legend. The man who carved wooden pews in a country chapel, believing each splinter smoothed by his hand was a way to serve something greater. Colonial America was not just built on war or law, but on belief. Belief in God, in community, in work, in the patterns of planting and harvest, in small blessings whispered before sleep. People made music with spoons, told stories by firelight, and buried their dead beneath trees they'd planted themselves. Culture wasn't something you learned. It was something you lived. And beneath it all, so there were older things. Indigenous trails still crossed the woods. Burial mounds lay silent beneath fields. Languages long forgotten clung to names. Potomac, Susquehanna, Allegheny. These were not empty lands. They were layered, with memory, with loss, with echoes. Colonists built on top of these echoes, not always seeing them, but always living above them. Let your thoughts wander there, to places where prayer and politics blurred, where candles lit more than rooms, like they lit hope. And now, let us look out gently at the lives that never made it into textbooks. For every man who signed a declaration, there were hundreds who carried grain, dug wells, sowed flags, taught children by chalk and willpower. There were elites, landowners, lawyers, philosophers. They wore powdered wigs and polished boots. They quoted Cicero and toasted with Madeira. But there were others, women with raw hands, blacksmiths with calloused palms, indentured servants who waited for years to buy back their lives. Slaves, whose stories were rarely told but whose labor laid the foundation of the New World. These people didn't shape the laws, but they shaped the land. They didn't speak in courts, but they whispered to children, sang in fields, and dreamed. Sometimes only in silence. And though history often forgets them, their rhythm remains. In every road paved, in every beam lifted, in every seed planted, they were there. Let their presence be a quiet truth in your thoughts. Not loud, but lasting. So now you've drifted through kitchens and council rooms, through rituals and revolutions, through firelight and folded letters. You've walked beside names you know and those you'll never hear. And through it all, that you've seen how a nation was not made by noise, but by patience. By ordinary days, by careful thoughts, by soft decisions made under uncertain skies. Let your breath settle now. Let the weight of history rest beside you, not on you. You are part of that rhythm, not in war or glory, but in the simple act of remembering. Close your eyes. Let the past fade, like ink drying on old paper. And sleep, where silence once built something new.